On behalf of Total employees everywhere, Super Truck drivers, start your engines!
We're back with you at Colorado National. 200 laps to be run, and the field is ready to roll out on a perfect day to go racing. We know we're having a heat wave around the country, but here, hey, you can't beat it. 78 degrees, humidity at 74%. Forecast, little chance of showers late in the day, but sure looks like we've got a good one going here at Colorado National.
As the trucks start to move out on the track, they'll warm those engines up for a few laps, seat those tires in, be ready to go.
Let's take a look at the starting grid today. For the second time, Ron Hornaday actually third. One time they had a little rain problem, so he got a chance to be on the pole. Hornaday Jr. on the pole. Jack Sprague out of Concord, North Carolina, starts beside him in row number 2 for this afternoon's race. The former Silver Crown champion, Mike Bliss from out in Washington, and Butch Miller is there. In row 3 this afternoon, Billy Sedgwick, great qualifying run, and Toby Butler, watch him run that Ford. Row 4 today. That'll be P.J. Jones from Torrance, California, and Mike Skinner, the big winner in this series. In row 5, it's Joe Ruttman, the current point leader, has one of our cameras, and Scott Legacy, the great road racer. Then in row 6 for today's championship run, Rick Corelli, hometown favorite from Denver, and starting beside him is Steve Portingay, Western champion in NASCAR. Row 7, oh, so many times, 18 times champion out in the desert, Walker Evans, and Dennis Setzer in that Dodge that gave us the great show at Milwaukee. In row 8, there you have Dave Resendez from Massachusetts, and starting alongside will be Bob Strait. For row 9, that's John Kinder, the youngest driver in the field, and the great Sammy Swindell. He's won 5 sprint car races since we saw him at Milwaukee. Going to row 10 today, Dennis Woolridge makes his first appearance in the trucks, and John Nemechek. In row 11, there's Ray Daniels, great Western star, and T.J. Clark. Row 12, rounding out the field, Bobby Breback is there with Kerry Teague. And the flagman, Mr. Porter, has the field under control for, what, 2 more laps before we send them out here today, Ned?
2 more laps, and we'll get the green flag. You can see the caution waving there as he gives them the 2-lap signal.
Row 13, Jerry Glanville is there, and Kenny Allen ready to go to work. Glanville spun this morning, got it back together, and came out. Row 14, there you have Mike Herbert and Jimmy Dick. And that rounds out the field. The manufacturer's breakdown for today's race.
Chevrolet has 14 trucks in the field, and Ford has 12, and the 2 Dodges that Mike Joy pointed out at the top of the show.
Take a look at the race analysis for today's program. You have a purse of $166,000. And on this track, you're going to run 200 laps, about 75 miles in 2 segments with that intermission and a halftime. Well, that gives us a chance to put all the trucks back together. 1 lap, they're going to turn them loose. 3/8 mile oval, compound banking there.
Yeah, 4 degrees on the bottom side, that's almost flat. Then it banks up to 9 degrees, and then at the top is 12 degrees. So if you go in there a little too fast on the low side, you drift up a little bit, maybe that 9-degree banking will catch you, and if it don't, maybe the 12-degree bank will catch you before you get to the wall.
The in-truck cameras today. Let's see, there's Rick Corelli's number 6. Give you some exciting shots for sure on this track.
Big favorite here in Denver.
Oh, is he ever. And here's Dennis Setzer in the Dodge. And then Joe Ruttman, qualified second time around.
Joe had a little problem this morning. We only made 2 or 3 laps, and the engine failed in the truck that he planned to run. They went to a backup truck and still had a pretty good qualifying run here. He'll start in the 9th position. We're about ready to go racing.
The cooperation he gave us, switching cameras around there, immense. There it is, the number 1 truck in the series. We're off and running. Hornaday leads him down. Jack Sprague sticks with him, trying to come up the inside. The number 2 is Bliss.
Sprague has a lot of experience on this type track. He runs a lot at Concord, North Carolina, a very similar type track.
See Butch Miller back there in 4th. The 75, the blue and white truck right there. That's Sedgwick.
And look how low they're running down on that 4-degree banking at this point. Maybe after those tires heat up a little bit, they might be slipping up the track a little bit, but they're wanting to stay low right now.
Tires will be an issue here today. They'll get 40, 50 laps out of them. And then it's going to be a little dicey. Remember, you get a 5-lap penalty if you come in for tires. And you pit on the outside of this track. So Hornaday has the lead in the early going. Jack Sprague willing to sit there in second, take a slightly higher line. The number 2, Mike Bliss, hanging right in there. Butch Miller, followed by Sedgwick. And a guy who's really been coming on, the number 21. That's that yellow rig. That's the Ford of Toby Butler.
Toby was having some problems when he first went out on the track today for practice, but in the last half hour, he really got that truck to working well, and as a result, turned in a good qualifying run. Boy, it didn't look like he'd make the top 20 there the way he was running early this morning, but they made some adjustments, and it worked. See how low he's able to stay on the track. That's the number 21 Ortho truck.
Just behind him is number 3. Here you see the 7th place runner. That's Skinner. Guy that's won 5 of these races, put on that great show in Milwaukee. Behind Skinner in 8th is P.J. Jones, and then comes Ruttman. Corelli follows to round out the top 10. Here's Ruttman. Back of Ruttman's car. Here's Corelli coming after him. Just settling in. You know, they had 3 of these short track races, 11 or 12 cautions. It's so hard. You got 600, 650 horsepower up there under the hood, and you come onto a 3/8 mile track with all kinds of different banking to really keep control of these things. Nice start to today's race.
Yes, and it's hard to use all that horsepower on a track like this.
Yep.
And we see Rick Corelli back there trying to move on the outside. He's the first one that's really making a move. Here he is trying to move around Joe Ruttman on the outside. It looks like he might be successful at it, Ken.
Going
That's
for
a pretty,
ninth.
Yeah, pretty brave move, but he knows this track better than any driver in this field because he has a lot of winning laps here.
P.J. Jones moves out on him just a little. P.J. who's driving for Dan Gurney, testing that Indianapolis car for next year, that Toyota. Loves this Truck Series and gives it a good run. Here's Ruttman back on the inside.
Well, what happened? P.J. Jones moved. He saw Corelli coming, so he moved up and said, hey, that might be a faster groove. Let me move up there and try. So it sort of cut Corelli off there. But P.J. has the position, so he's able to run where he wants to.
Great pictures here. As you see, P.J. gets down there. You don't want to fool with Ruttman. He will put the fender to you, and does.
Well, you know, bumping is expected in this type of racing.
You bet. There's Ruttman holding up P.J. and there's Corelli now trying to duck inside of P.J. another time on the bottom. That time he has the move.
Yeah, I think he's got the position now. He has that preferred line. He made a good pass on Ruttman on the outside, but then he got up there and got blocked out and couldn't go any further. So now P.J.'s caught on the outside.
Battle for 9th position is what we're focusing on right now.
Already a lap down is the car number 79 of Jimmy Dick from El Paso, Texas.
Brand new runner to the series at 79. Back with the leaders for a moment. Keep track of Hornaday. 14 laps in the book, all green so far.
And these 2 trucks have pulled away a little bit. Good battle going on for 3rd between Butch Miller and Mike Bliss. As we see the leaders here, Hornaday, Sprague, lapping the truck number 11. Of course, that truck being driven by Mike Horwitz.
And that too is a new truck in the series. Sprague, Concord, North Carolina racer, closing in on Hornaday again. Papa John carrying the mail right now. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Ken, you're seeing a bit of controlled racing right now because everyone's afraid to show their hand and use up their right rear tire too early. If they have to make a pit stop, it costs them time on the track and a 5-lap penalty for each tire they change. So things are a little conservative out there right now. Why do they need to save that right rear tire? Dick Berggren.
Well, Mike, the tires that Goodyear brought here for this race are very soft. That has led to quick qualifying times, but the tires wear very quickly. As a result, when they do, the trucks really become a handful. All the drivers are concerned about it. As they wear, they leave marbles just outside the absolute racing groove. Anybody who gets in there is going into the wall with it. So the drivers are saying that they have got to drive with the throttle very, very gently. Pole sitter Ron Hornaday said, I'm going to run this race as if I've got an egg between my foot and the gas pedal.
Getting scrambled out here for just a moment back there in 9th place. You see that battle between Ruttman and the 84, Skinner in the 3. He's trying to make a move, pick up a spot right now on the 21.
Toby Butler caught on the outside as Skinner gets a nose under him. He's going to make the pass, and here comes Ruttman right on the inside too. In fact, the train will go by if Butler isn't careful. Once one truck gets on the inside, there's not a whole lot that Toby can do about it. Corelli had gotten up on the outside there once again, and it really got past Ruttman one more time, but he couldn't sustain it out there on the outside.
3/8 mile track. Call it compound turn. 3 different angles in that corner. And what a show they put on. Mike Bliss under challenge. Love to watch Mike Bliss in action. Former Silver Crown champion of the United States Auto Club. 14 different series have sent champions into this kind of competition. Super truck racing by Craftsman here today on CBS for 200 laps from Colorado. Hornaday's your leader. Under caution, spin in lap 25. Woolridge, new runner in the Truck Series, loops it in turn 4. Report is that he was by himself, just got in there a little hot, and away it went out from underneath him. 3,400 pounds of super truck, 650 horsepower, and as they were saying, you've got to be so gentle on the throttle. Keep that power going to the ground, not just spin it. There's the running order. Hornaday leading, and as they line up, right behind him, Sprague.
Jack Sprague in 2nd place, Butch Miller now in 3rd place. We had a tremendous battle going on from 4th on back through the field. These the front trucks had pulled away a little bit, but Sedgwick was right there with the first 3, and then you had Corelli and Portengay and Skinner and all of those really doing battle back through the field. Still are 21 trucks in the lead lap.
Working lap 27 under caution. Yellow laps are counting. Lap cars, lap trucks coming up on the inside. Those 21 that are in the lead lap on the outside. And here's Mike Joy.
Ken, heat is going to be a factor in more ways than one. The track temperature right now, 130 degrees, much hotter than when they practice. That'll change the handling. Joe Ruttman says his water temperature's up to 250 and the oil up to 260. So you'll see a lot of tape coming off the noses of these trucks at halftime, I think.
We'll see what happens. You know, the temperature outside is not that bad, the ambient temperature, but wow, out there on the track, things heating up.
Well, with the sun shining down on the asphalt, it gets very hot, no question about it. And of course, the heat of the engines and tires and everything else. And we're ready to go racing again. Green flag waves.
Completing lap 28, working lap 29. We're back under green. First caution of the day after truck number 10 spun in turn 4.
Of course, that was Dennis Waldron.
Leaders breaking away. Skinner making a charge to come up and find the front runners, and he's got him. Out moves Butch Miller in the 98, a little high, going into turn number 1 and trying to take advantage of it. Here's the 75. Sedgwick gets to the inside. Skinner right behind him, followed by Ruttman. So let me go over the front of the field for you as we get down to 30 laps. You have Hornaday up in front, Sprague in 2nd. Miller is 3rd. Billy Sedgwick is 4th. Then comes Skinner in 5th. In that 6th spot is Ruttman. Then Corelli is about 4 car lengths back in 7th. Nice easy roll on this one. They're off to a nice start this afternoon. Denver, Colorado is where the action is. The super trucks are back on CBS.
I think Mike Skinner, we'll see him come into the picture right there. He's sitting right where he wants to be. No one too close to him. He's not too close on the other. I think he's sitting there riding, saving his tires. He has gained 4 positions since he started. He is now 7th. He started 11th. Of course, Mike Skinner has picked up 3 positions. He started 8th and now is 5th. But Corelli, look for him to be tough in the latter half of this first half of the race.
Portengay continues to move up. He is in good shape in 8th place. P.J. Jones back to 9th. Mike Bliss in 10th. And Legacy is now 11th with Resendez 12th. Here's Mike Joy.
Well, it's Dick Berggren actually can. And Skinner is not necessarily holding back at this point. He's had a terrible time with his truck here in Colorado. They just have not been able to dial this thing in. It has been loose since he's come. They've tried everything they could to hold it. Just before the race, he said, "We're terrible." Well, terrible's right now running in fifth spot. For Skinner, I guess that baby's terrible.
Yeah, it's not handling as good as we've seen it. Here's Butch Miller taking over second place, and Bill Sedgwick trying to take over third, and does, from Jack Sprague.
Sprague falling back to fourth. See, number 30 showing a bit of smoke out there right now. That's Dennis Setzer in that Dodge. Sedgwick falling back.
Setzer is being shown in the 13th position. He started 14th, so he's sort of holding his own.
Toby Butler right there with him. Front of the field.
Boy, Mike Bliss is really having a tough time with his truck, Ken. He started in the third position, and now he has dropped all the way back to about 11th position now. He's just having a terrible time.
And look at Mike Skinner closing in again. What a racer he is. Short track, long track. He seems to have them handled. Here comes Ruttman with him. And he's about to climb up over the tailgate. How about Ruttman here making that move and climbing up through under Jack Sprague with Skinner right in front of him, taking a spot.
And Corelli comes right along with him as well. So Corelli moves into the 6th position now. So it's Hornaday, Miller, Sedgwick in third. 4th is Skinner. 5th is Ruttman. 6th is Corelli. And Sprague has fallen back to 7th.
Caution is out for the second time.
John Nemechek has spun coming off of turn 4. I don't think he hit anything again. In fact, he blends right back into the traffic. Wants to try to get back out in front of the leaders coming around.
At lap 41. Nemechek spinning in turn 4. Here's Mike.
Again, like the Woldridge spin, I think this is a symptom of a driver who's burning up that right rear tire. When the truck is handling loose, he comes off the corner and applies the power, and unless he's got that egg under his foot, like Dick said, the truck will break traction and just come all the way around. That's just what happened to Nemechek. Nobody made contact with him. The truck just went around.
And unfortunately, he lost a lap. He tried to get back out in front of the leaders, but apparently did not.
So caution is out for the second time. We'll return to the Colorado National Speedway after this message and a word from your local station. Here in Colorado at Colorado National, coming around to complete the 46th lap. They'll go to green. As they come down, Hornaday will be in front. Miller in second. Sedgwick third. Skinner is fourth. Ruttman fifth. Corelli sixth. Jack Sprague in seventh. Portingay in eighth. P.J. Jones in ninth. Legacy is 10th. Resendez 11th. Dennis Setzer back in 12th. And we have a green.
Well, you can see how quickly they're trying to get back to the low side of the racetrack. I would have thought by this time, Ken, that we would see them. It's all out. Car number 34 coming out through the infield here. That apparently no.
Ray Daniels out of Colorado Springs. He was a former track champion here and two-time champion up in Colorado Springs. And I think he's okay to keep running.
Yeah, he's trying to get back out into the flow of the traffic. He almost lost it coming off of turn 2 over there and just headed down towards the infield. Now I think he'll take it to the pits.
There's second place. Butch Miller hanging right in there. Three-way battle for the point lead among these trucks. And the 75 hanging tough since the outset. From Acton, California, Billy Sedgwick. C. Skinner climbing in here in fourth. 50 laps now complete. Not halfway home in the first segment.
Bill Sedgwick in car number 75 having a great run. He has some experience on this racetrack.
Boy, that Spears truck has looked strong from the outset here today. The Spears Motor Chevrolet.
Started fifth, now running third. Just before the caution came out, Butch Miller had really closed in on Hornaday, and he's doing it again. Ken, look how much he gains in turns, pulling away a little bit from Sedgwick. So he has that truck hooked up, getting good traction off the turn. That's sort of a mark of Butch Miller. Look at him come off the turn. That's a mark of a good handling truck.
Native of Coopersville, Michigan, Butch Miller. He's won here at Colorado National. Came out here last year with the ASA Series and won on this track, and their only performance on this 3/8 mile. Butch Miller in number 98, closing in again in that Ray Bestos truck on number 16, Hornaday. Here's Dick Berggren.
As I canvassed the pit area this morning and talked to the drivers, I asked, what are you going to do about these tires that seem to go away and make the truck so difficult to run? And all of them except one said, there's about nothing we can do. The one who had something to do, Butch Miller. He said, we're going to go with a setup that is going to work in the second end of the race, and that's going to take good care of those tires. We will not be fast at the beginning, but watch us at the end. He's done his work well.
Well, if he's not going to be fast in the beginning, holy smokes, look out for the second half, folks. There he is challenging Hornaday in the red, white numeral number 16 for the lead.
I predict in the next 10 laps he'll pass it, Ken, because he is getting such good traction off the turns. And that's where you make it up on a track like this.
55 complete, 19 in the lead lap. 19 trucks remaining in the lead lap. Bliss on the tail end of the lead lap. Just in front of him, Butler and Kinder. Brevac is 16th. Swindell showing 15th now.
It was Kerry Teague that just passed going up.
He would go down a couple more laps.
Yeah.
He was down several at the very outset. Had some problems. That would put him 5 down. Kerry Teague. Next Sunday, Die Hard 500. Ooh, look at this move. Here's Hornaday getting under Bliss.
Yeah, Bliss started in 3rd place. And just motors right on by it. Bliss's truck has lost the handle. It lost it pretty early, really after about 10 laps. He started falling back.
Jimmy Dick with a brand new truck. That 79, that blue and gold machine from El Paso, Texas, getting caught a second time.
And Toby Butler about to go a lap down as Ron Hornaday goes on the inside of him in turn 1 and 2. Butch Miller follows right through. And there's the 3rd place truck.
Sedgwick making some time. Flying on this short track in Colorado. Sold out days in advance to see these super trucks in action.
John Kinder has gone a lap down. Well, they're moving in on 3 abreast going into that turn right behind the leader.
See Swindell in the 38 trying to move that 23 out of the way. Gave him a pretty good pop. Swindell in the blue number 38.
Running in 16th position has just gone a lap down.
Trying to get out. He's in the pocket. Swindell has won 5 races since we saw him last. He won 2 out here on dirt in Denver. Then he went back to Fargo, North Dakota and won 2. Then he went to Davenport, Iowa and won. He's lost 1. I know he didn't win. He won in Independence, Missouri. Lost in Davenport. Been a little busy recently.
Yes, yes.
John Kinder's car coming in on fire. The Strop Ford, youngest driver in super trucks, 20 years of age. Eased it off the track. No caution on this. And here's how it happened. Give you this view from Joe Rutman's truck, riding the cab of Joe Rutman.
It was about to get a little bit. You see the fire coming out from under the right front wheel there, Ken. Apparently an oil line broke or something in the engine department. Caused a lot of fire. He came on around, was able to get it into the pits, which are off of turn 2 and on the backstretch. But you can see it's burned a lot of the paint off the truck. So
Ninth start for Kinder. There's your leader.
Yeah, and you know, I said I'd predict that he'd get past about 10 laps. Yeah. I think I made him mad. He must have heard me. He has driven away from the field, putting a lap on Dennis Setzer there right now. And Setzer is running in the 13th position. 3 abreast, he makes it there for a moment. Boy, that truck is hooked up. I thought Butch Miller was hooked up when we talked about it before, but Ron Hornaday apparently was just playing with him. Look at him. He goes high,
got
he goes
one
low. It
spinning.
doesn't matter.
Going all the way around down in turn number 1 is Scott Legacy, the St. Augustine, Florida racer who was in 7th position, loops it. Yellow comes out. He's back underway.
Yeah, he had moved all the way up to 7th. He was really coming up through the field, Ken.
I think it again underlines what Mike was talking about earlier. Got in there in just a minute. He tried to hit that throttle to lift that car out of the hole and come out of turn number 2. Started to put it down. It went away on him. Here's Mike Joy.
Well, Harry Lewin, the crew chief, confirmed it was an oil line that let go, abraded, and caused that fire in John Kinder's truck. John's okay, but did you have any warning of that?
No, I looked down, there was a fire down there, and tried to blend into the line as much as I could and try to get up top. It's just a shame. We've been trying to run good here and trying to attract a major sponsor, and it's a tough luck, tough way to end the 14 trucks day.
Well, he drove right out here to the fire trucks. That's the good news, and that truck can be saved, and you're okay. But now, what's the track like out there? How loose is it?
It's pretty loose out there. The track surface is really hot. There's a lot of slipping and sliding going on right now, and it's pretty warm out there, so you'll see some exciting racing. But I get a glass of water here. But it is a little loose out there. They'll be making some adjustments, I'm sure, to get the trucks handling a little bit better.
Okay, sorry to see you out of it. Ken?
Thanks, Mike. We're checking back here as we're under this third caution of the day. It came out. Yellow came out on lap 71. We're working the 73rd lap. Let's take a look at what happened from Dennis Setzer's viewpoint. Here's what happened to Scott Legacy.
You can see there's a lot of smoke up in front of it. Legacy already spinning around as Setzer comes up, goes by on the outside, as does Toby Butler in truck number 21 up there. And as we speak, Dennis Setzer has taken the Dodge behind the wall.
Wow. Setzer retiring. This at lap 73. Field coming down to take green. We're back underway. Just coming at lap 79 of the 200 to be run at Colorado National, the NASCAR Super Truck Series. Ron Hornaday set sail. He's in front. Right behind him is the lap machine that spun Legacy, that brought out that third caution of the day.
Ken Allen has taken his truck behind the wall, and we mentioned as we went away to break, Ken, that Dennis Setzer had gone behind the wall. Apparently went in for an adjustment. He's back out now. He's being shown one lap down in 17th position.
Leader continues to be Hornaday with Butch Miller in second. The number 75 white and blue truck is in third. That's Sedgwick. And following him comes Skinner in fifth. Rutland is in sixth. Corelli stays in seventh. We believe Resendez is in eighth, but he's been shown a lap down. They put him back up there yet? No? We'll wait on that one a moment from NASCAR. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Rich Latenda, what did you guys do to Dennis Setzer's truck when he pitted?
We put 2 turns in the left rear, took 2 out of the right rear, took the tape off. He was running a little hot, tried to make it get around these turns a little better.
What did the right rear look like?
We didn't get a chance to really look at it. We tried to get him out as fast as we could so we don't go down any more laps.
Okay, he lost a lap on the racetrack, but as Ned pointed out, did not lose another one when he pitted.
Good fight for second place here, Ned.
Yes, between
Sedgwick.
Butch Miller running in second place and Sedgwick in third. Now they come up on Scott Legacy, moving on the outside of him. Scott just went a lap down when he spun out. He's been trying to get that lap back, but hasn't been successful at it.
Joe Rutland in a backup truck, having a great one. You see him there, that red truck, the Coca-Cola truck, just coming into your picture behind these two. Sedgwick on the outside, working Legacy.
Sedgwick just cannot get the traction he needs on the outside.
Rutland trying to close in a little here. Rutland in the red and white, number 84, moves up a bit.
He's the points leader. You can see there, 8 points ahead of Mike Skinner.
And those guys have been swapping the point lead around. Good point scrap in the Super Truck Series as he gets ready to move to Topeka, Kansas. Trouble happening in turn number 3. Number 10 all the way around. Dennis Woolridge of Riverside, California, moving his machine.
TJ Clark has spun around as well in truck number 23.
Chandler, Arizona driver down on the inside of the track. So that gets us to the 4th caution of the afternoon. Caution number 4. 17 laps thus far of the 85 run have been under yellow. Everybody rights themselves and ready to come on again.
One thing about it is you see some damage to the 10 truck on the left rear fender, but on a track this size, you can get in an altercation of that sort and many times not do a great deal of damage to your vehicle, and you can continue on.
But you do get bounced around a little lot every now and then on a short track.
Get beat up a little bit.
But you can see you got beat up a little bit right out there.
But that shouldn't really hurt the running of this truck too much.
Yeah, get well, Stan, for Stan Fox.
And we certainly all do wish him well. He's has made a made tremendous strides since his accident at Indianapolis, and we all keep him in our prayers and wish him the best.
Wanted very much to be in this series this year. I think Setzer's car can give us a picture of what happened here.
Well, there was a little bit of bump onto Steve Portengay.
And I think Portengay was backing up. There was a car spun in front of him, so he got whacked in the back. Part of short track racing. Back up for something in front of him. You're going to have to collect a couple more. Big time.
And we aren't too far from the halfway point.
Working the 87th right now under yellow. There's the running order for you folks with Hornaday, Miller, Sedgwick. Top three pretty much as it's been since the outset. Second half ought to be a doozy here today. Dick Berber.
Well, the 10 truck being driven today by Dennis Woolridge was originally driven by Stan Fox. Its owner, Alex DeCure, said he has brought the truck here to run specifically to put it on television so that he could say to Stan Fox, "Get well, Stan." And there's more. He says whenever Stan gets ready to race, if he ever wants to race again, this truck is his ride.
All right.
Nice gesture. Fourth caution of the day. Stan Fox, you know, there was some talk about him coming to Winston Cup racing 2 or 3 years back. What a great addition he would have been.
Certainly.
Hope he
Very
does get
talented
the chance to
young man.
come back. Going to be a change of race director here in this series. John Colden is getting ready to step down, unless Otten's going to take over in that role. As they move on to Topeka, Kansas, head back toward the east. They'll be in Flemington, up in Flemington, New Jersey with these super trucks pretty soon. But Topeka is the next stop with a new race director.
Wayne Oden.
Wayne
taking over this division.
You know how we
The
got a manufacturer's point standings coming up, Ned.
Chevrolet, of course, with 9 wins in the lead by a pretty substantial margin, 87 to 59 for Ford. Dodge has 44. And we're about ready to go green flag racing again.
Pace truck is off, and we're ready for green with, as we come down for a start, Hornaday in front, Miller in second, Sedgwick third, Joe Ruttman's Ford there in fourth, followed by Mike Skinner's Chevy, Rick Corelli next, then Resendez in seventh, Jack Sprague in eighth, Walker Evans having a terrific run in ninth, and PJ's there in 10th. Have 11 cars in the lead lap. Portengay completes that lead lap.
The first truck a lap down is Scott Legacy, who is right behind the leader, Hornaday. He would love to get past him before this halfway comes up here in just less than 10 laps. But he's not going to do it. He spins a little bit going in the turn. Miller gets by him. Here comes Sedgwick by him. So it looks like Scott will go into the halftime break, the lap down.
Little handling problems you could see on that number 24. Tell me you don't get some speed on these short tracks.
Motor right along. Poor Hornaday, he has a lot of experience on this racetrack, and he's showing that experience now, knowing exactly how hard to drive that truck, how to keep it straight.
But closing back in is Butch Miller. Miller's coming back up on him with Sedgwick with 8 laps to halftime. He's cut that distance down by about 20-25%. Number 98 and Sedgwick stays right there in the 75.
Every one of them are saying, boy, we just need a little bit of an adjustment here now at this halftime, and we can get him. Of course, Hornaday might have an adjustment or so that he needs to make, although it doesn't look like he would need an adjustment, but they might make a slight to it.
Sedgwick, the 1991 and 92 Winston West champion with 15 wins in those 2 seasons, closing on Miller, the 3-time American Speed Association champion, the ASA champ, moving in, closing on Hornaday as we get toward halftime.
And Joe Ruttman moving up, trying to pass Mike Skinner on the outside for the 4th position, but couldn't quite make the pass going into turn 1 as we watch the first, second, and third place trucks here. About 5 more laps till the halfway.
Skinner moves around and he gets the spot. He's up into 4th. Ruttman to 5th. Swindell running very slowly down the main straightaway and into turn number 1.
It looks like he's lost power.
Tennessee are over, and he has lost power. He's dropped to the bottom of the track. And you can see Swindell just easing around here as we get down to the end of this one.
Boy, he wishes that thing would have gone just a few more laps. He could have gotten to halfway, and then whatever the problem is, maybe he could have gotten it fixed. And boy, there are some
Caution's out. They threw a yellow.
And we got a spin over there as Glanville gets into the 23 of Clark, TJ Clark, as they all were slowing down because of the Swindell truck down on the inside. And they went in there 3 and 4 abreast, and there just was not enough room for all of them.
Second time that the 23 has done a 360 out here today. 5th caution of the first 100 laps.
And you can see a little portion of the bumper or something hanging loose from TJ Clark's truck. Rear air dam, I guess. And here's some damage to Jerry Glanville. He hit Clark in the rear going into turn 1, and that's what actually coming off of turn 2.
Now there's a guy who really likes his racing too.
Oh, he loves it, yeah.
In fact, he started back in '57. He was a drag racer. Used to have a Harley Davidson motorcycle, drag race motorcycles. Let's look at that spin again, Ned.
Okay. As they go into turn, you see the Swindell truck down on the inside, and there you can see the 81 of Glanville getting into the TJ Clark number 23, and around he goes. And we'll take a look from the inside Dennis Setzer's truck. Right up in front of him, he sees it happening. You see what happened there? Glanville saw the truck. Once he got on the inside, he saw the 38 truck of Swindell sitting down on the inside. He said, I got to move up the racetrack a little bit or I'm going to rear end him hard. And there just wasn't room up there, so he moved up into the TJ Clark truck.
Coming down to end this first segment and send them back to the pit area. First half just about over as they clear the track, and they're going back into the pits off turn number 2 right now, with Hornaday in first, Miller in second, Sedgwick in third, Skinner in fourth, Ruttman in fifth, and Corelli in sixth. We have 11 cars in the lead lap as we get ready for the second half. It ought to be a dandy, Ned. That's the end of the first half, and we'll return to Colorado after this message and a word from your local station. Back with you once again here on the CBS Sports Show at Colorado National. Halftime, and let's go to Dick Berggren.
And I'm with a guy who's led all the laps so far, Ron Hornaday. It looked awful good in the first half, but it's the second half that counts.
Well, I'll tell you what, Doug Richards and the guys on this team with Papa John Chevrolet, RCCA is #1 in diecast, but I'll tell you what, they done a great job. We'll see what happens the second half. That didn't pay nothing the first half, so we're going to go out there and see what we can do the second half.
Well, now you were talking about slipping and sliding and have to be really careful with the throttle. How does the truck feel?
Well, who came up with the egg deal, you know? It's one of them things. You can't touch a gas pedal. Dennis Fisher put a good motor under this truck here, and all the guys back at the shop at Dennis Fisher. So, I mean, you just got to baby this thing off. We got more power than we can ever use right now. We tried a 4th gear deal and tried to lug the motor. It didn't work. So we got to run it in 3rd gear and just baby it.
What they've got here, kid, is a transmission that allows them to have either 3rd gear or 4th gear. It's a Jericho transmission, and he's got his choice, and he was going to try 4th. It obviously hasn't worked. Mike Joy.
I'm with Rick Corelli's truck. You don't think that these tires throw some rubber and use it up. This is just what's from inside here. Rick, how does the truck feel, and what are you changing?
What we're changing, Mike, we're so loose after about 40, 50 laps. We're going to make about a 180-degree change here. We're going to change the front pan. We're going to change some rear shocks. And we're going to take some tape off the front end. We're going to see if we can hope this Total Petroleum Chevrolet. I mean, we can't even touch the throttle out there. And, I mean, it's track position. And, I mean, that 16 truck showing you how he's running away, not spinning the tires.
Okay, that's Rick Corelli. Well, it's a little warm for ice racing, but that's what it feels like. Jack Sprague's right over here. And, Jack, you had a good run in the first half, and it looked like you were just kind of taking it easy trying to save your tires. How slick is it out there?
Let me tell you, it's terrible. First of all, I got to thank Roofing Contractors Incorporated. They come on board with us for this race. It's a local company, and we really appreciate it. Performance race car crew's doing a heck of a job. Terrible loose. I got her qualified decent, but I'm no chassis man. We're doing the best we can without a sponsor, and we need one back because I need a chassis man. But
what are you going to change?
We change everything.
Okay. Let's go back upstairs.
So it's halftime here. Halftime at Colorado National, and we're down in the locker rooms with the drivers and finding out what they're making for changes on their trucks as they get ready to go. And let's go to Dick Berggren for another update.
Miller, where he has been following that number 16 truck, it seems, all afternoon. Butch, we're looking at your truck. There's water coming out of it. They're changing the carburetor. What is going on here?
You know, it looks a lot more serious than it is. We're running about 220 out there, which I don't think is very bad for a day like today. But the biggest problem is I've got like an on-off switch for a carburetor. So it's either won't run at all or it runs wide open, and then I just spin tires all the way down the straightaway. So we're gonna change the carb.
Will changing the carb help bring your temperature down?
No, we don't expect that. What we're more worried about is being able to run part throttle and not spin the tires. Right now, it's either spin them or stop them, one of the two.
Ken Squire, that's the story here.
Spin and stop them. That's the story for sure here in the first as we take a look at the running order through that first half of this Colorado 200. Hornaday up in front, Miller in second, and Sedgwick stays in third with Joe Ruttman, followed by Corelli and Sprague. And we want to see an official rundown on this one, don't we, Ned? I'm a little concerned about what we're getting from
yes,
from NASCAR
actually
here.
Skinner's running up there in the 4th position. And what happens, the NASCAR computer scoring system needs to run another lap before we get the absolute last lap, and that's why it's not exactly the way it was. Of course, they won't start it until the race restarts on the second half.
22 laps or better, 25, 26 laps under caution in that first 100 laps of competition. So we're here at halftime. We'll get back into the pit area and let you meet some more of the stars that are here in Super Truck Racing for NASCAR. Colorado Nationals, where the action is today. Back at Colorado National, the Super Truck Series of NASCAR. T.J. Clark of Chandler, Arizona, has just taken truck number 23 back to the area off turn 2 for some additional work. And number 37 has started to come in and come to a halt with a left front tire down, it looks like.
Yeah, it is, and he could not turn into the pits. He backed it up and gets it on in. That's Bob Strait in truck number 37.
Here's Mike Joy.
He and T.J. Clark got together. You'll see the right rear ripped on T.J.'s Ford truck, and the contact flattened that left front on straight. He had to go around a couple of times before he could get clear to get to pit lane, and Clark's number 23 is now smoking pretty heavy from the right rear.
Thanks, Mike. 134 laps are complete. There are your leaders. Hornaday in the red, white numeral number 16 and the 98. The 23, Clark, is back going under Skinner. But remember, Skinner is in a war of his own. You can see the back end of that all torn up.
Yeah, he has a lot of things dangling in the air there as Skinner goes by. He's running in 4th place, but he's being chased hard by the 5th place truck of Joe Ruttman. Now they get separated a little bit in this traffic. There's John Nemechek's truck number 87 and Rick Corelli. The 4th, 5th, and 6th place battle has been one of the best battles on the racetrack for the last 10 or so laps, Ken.
With number 3, Skinner staying there and doing.
Here's a spin by Jerry Glanville down in turn 1.
Yellow is on. Yellow is out 6th time today.
Jerry just went into the first turn, lost control. It went sideways, didn't go all the way around. Now he gets it righted and hit it on around. No major damage done.
So this will bring the leaders back together, of which we have 10 being shown in the lead lap. We're working 135 as they come back with Hornaday in front, Miller in second, Sedgwick third, Skinner fourth, then Ruttman, Corelli in sixth, Resendez seventh, Sprague eighth, P.J. Jones in ninth, and Portengay running back in the 10th position. Those are the 10 in the lead lap. Just behind them is Walker Evans now, a lap down in 11th, and Dennis Setzer in 12th. Give you a complete running order here after 135. Well, we're at Colorado. Next week, we're in Talladega. It's a 3/8 mile track, 2.6 mile super speedway next week, but the action's always the same. Incredibly close. Consider this, in the first 10 races of the season, Ned, the difference between first and second place combined is what, about 9 seconds?
Yes,
that's for all 10 races.
Yeah, in this series, that is close competition.
Hey, Ned, here's one you're used to. Dennis Huth, you know Dennis Huth as in Ruth. He's doing your trick today. You know, he's the one of the NASCAR officials that we mentioned writing to about this truck series. That Glanville's broken down again.
They're holding him.
Holding him to get him back in the lap.
Right.
Well, anyway, he and his wife, Jeannie, that rhymes with Beanie, so I get that one right.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're celebrating their anniversary today.
Okay.
You know how they're doing it. Same old way. He's here in Denver. She's there in Daytona Beach.
Happy anniversary. Let's go to the pits and Dick Berggren.
33-year-old T.J. Clark is here in the pits, and boy, this truck looks like it has been in a complete demolition derby. They've had to pull some of the back fender out away from the tire, change the right rear tire. The truck is badly beaten up on both sides. It's been around backwards twice today, but they're going to go back out and try to race some more.
Okay.
That's short track.
Got some battle scars, no doubt about it. We expected that, and I think the drivers, the officials, and everybody else expected it, certainly the fans, the big crowd that turned out here today.
Say, next weekend, the CBS Sports Show will be right back here in Colorado, bringing you coverage of the 14th U.S. Olympic Festival. Saturday's coverage at 4 Eastern, that's when it commences, spotlighting the boxing competition, and Sunday, 4:30, figure skating takes center ice. That's all next weekend on the show. What a show we've got here today as we get ready to get at it again. Let's see what we got for laps. 139, working 140 right now as they get ready to turn them loose. The Super Trucks coming out loud and proud, as they say in short track racing, with Hornaday to bring them down. Butch Miller with them. Sedgwick third. Mike Skinner fourth. Rutland fifth. Corelli sixth. Resendez, Jack Sprague, P.J. Jones, Portingay all in there as they turn them loose.
Hornaday was able to get out in front of the lap track very quick going into turn one. Butch Miller in second place, he had to deal with it, and now Scott Legacy is between he and Hornaday as they come off of turn four.
Here's Corelli looking to the outside, the crowd up and cheering. They want to see him do some running right now. He tries to come up and put a lap on Glanville and go back after Rutland. You're riding with Rick Corelli, the pride of Denver.
Well, Ken, more problems for Scott Legacy in number 24. They're giving him the black flag for making a pass on the left going into turn one. He got up beside of another truck going down into that turn, and you aren't supposed to pass to the low side of the track. You can pass to the outside, and so he's going to have to come in, I guess, for a stop and go.
Three-time SCCA national champion sports car racing Legacy takes a consultation flag. Meanwhile, Hornaday, he's just hitched up and hauled away, looking like he's got a payload in his back pocket. Ron Hornaday at this point out by 15, car length advantage coming out of 4, coming down to complete lap 144. Legacy pulls up on the main straightaway and comes to a stop right here at the start finish line. Stop and go, and they send him back away. I believe that's the call.
I think that would be the case. Of course, you would not go to the pits in this case since the pits are on the outside, or I assume that's the situation. So he stopped. He's back in the back now. So he's still just one lap down, but the leader is not too far behind him.
Hey, take a look at the scramble that's beginning just behind Butch Miller in second place. Sedgwick is there in 75, two-time Western NASCAR champion. That's the 75, but look who's knocking on the door.
Yeah, Skinner has moved up there in the Teresa Earnhardt truck.
Tailgating, number 75. Here comes Skinner, the 5-time winner.
Scott Legacy being black flagged once again. Apparently he didn't stop long enough. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe he does have to go to the pits. He's slowing down now and headed into the pits. Boy, this is a tough break for him. He had a really good truck today and had a good run going, but just got spun out early and got lapped down and continued to try to get him back and just couldn't.
There's the 16 of Hornaday, scooting into turn number 1, completing lap 148 at 200 in our live coverage of NASCAR Super Trucks. On to Topeka, Kansas. That's next for these folks. Heartland Park. There you see Sedgwick maintaining third, but coming right after him is the 3 of Skinner, and then the 84 of Rutland is right there knocking on the door. The point leader, Joe Rutland's Ford, number 5, Rick Corelli in the 6. You're riding with him right now, and the 6 is in 6. For this much horsepower, this many trucks, 28 started on this size track, it's been an incredible performance.
Well, these leaders are getting in a lot of traffic now. It's going to be interesting here to see who gets through the traffic. There's Hornaday. He seems to be able to get through very quickly, but look, Butch Miller has almost caught him right down on the bottom of the racetrack as you go around Bob Strait and the truck number 37. Bob, we saw, had a flat tire there a little bit earlier. He's back out on the track now, but Butch Miller beginning to move in a little bit. You have to win one of these truck races, but boy, he has been close so many times. Will this be the day? Now look at this heavy traffic right to the left of our screen. They're coming up on some very, very heavy traffic.
Ron Hornaday, Southwest Tour champion.
There it is.
Ooh, look at
There's
this.
all that traffic.
Bump and grind.
Bump and grind. There's going to be lots of it here. There's Cedric moving up. He's trying to move up on the outside of Butch Miller.
And he's getting a hole out there, except the 38 Swindell got into it. Now the 16 comes down under Daniels. Holy smokes. Here comes the 98 of Butch Miller.
He's been third 5 times. In fact, he did that 5 times in a row, Butch Miller, in this series this year.
What a pocket shot by Miller. Stuffed it right down on the inside. Started to haul right up through and came right back on Hornaday. Sedgwick with him. That is some good racing.
They sort of lost Mike Skinner. He was up there with them, but they sort of lost him when he got in all that traffic. He's not too far back, but he's there. You can see that black truck back there about
10 car lengths?
Yeah, 10 truck lengths or so back.
There he is with Rutman still tagging right on his tailgate. And Carilli there.
Whoops. He gets a piece of the 79 truck.
Oh, he got it.
And the 79 truck's got to feel like, and here's trouble on the front straightaway. Oh, Jerry Glenn.
No caution.
No caution yet.
No caution.
Oh, he's in.
He's down on the inside of the track.
He's back underway.
Keep it getting it. Clear behind 83.
So Jerry spun down off the track once again, and we're back to the leaders and still getting it.
Oh, Jerry's had a busy day.
Yeah, he has. He's seen all of this racetrack.
If Elvis was in there, I think Elvis would step out right about now.
No, I think he'd have got out earlier.
Now take a look at this. Here's Hornaday, Palmdale, California racer, looking so strong.
Going on the inside of Kenny Allen, truck number 65. Miller goes right with him, and there's another truck. That's Bob Breback heading
4.
to the pits on the backstretch.
Gary Tigg getting lapped by a lot of folks now.
Truck number 51 is Gary Tigg, and here is Toby Butler getting lapped once again. Toby had hoped to get that thing. He's running in 13th position, but he was hoping that all that work that in. Here's a spin.
Out of 4.
Sammy Swindell spins around right here on the front straightaway. Caution is out now.
Yeah, he smoked it up pretty good in turn 1.
Yeah, they had a blind spot going
I think it may be more than just tire. Well, maybe just tire smoke.
I think it is, yeah.
Swindell back underway in the channel lock, number 38. We'll take a little break and then be back. There are now 160 of 200 laps complete at Denver. Swindell spinning just moments ago here, brought out this caution just back under green.
And you see all that smoke, Ken, he kept his foot on the gas in sprint car racing, which he is so accustomed to. That's the way you do it. You just keep on spinning her on around. And here's another spin. Bob Strait gets a little bit of a tap. And around he goes, and he keeps those wheels spinning as well.
And
no caution yet.
No caution.
He keeps going, and everything okay. Okay, let's.
Dick Berggren thought he was just mad.
Well, he might have been.
Swindell when he kept on looping it.
You can't blame him. He left some pretty telling black marks out there. Showed exactly what he did as far as that spin is concerned. Maybe we'll get a chance to show you those in a few moments.
166 laps are complete. There's Skinner in the number 3 going after Sedgwick in 75. The white and blue truck down in turns 1 and 2. Hornaday and Miller still first and second. You know, Skinner's the one guy that's gone flag to flag. He took 200 laps and took them all in a race earlier this year. I believe it was in Tucson. He's the only one to have led from flag to flag. Right now, Hornaday is trying to duplicate that.
And also Miller is really working on the back bumper of Hornaday. Here he is. And we pointed out in the first half he was getting awfully good traction off the turns. I predicted that he would pass him as Swindell goes to the pit area. But Miller then never did pass Hornaday. But look at him moving in, going into the turns. Looks like his truck is hooked up. Moves right up on him, maybe puts a little bit of bumper to it. And Hornaday, and he's going to try it on the outside. Now, that's not Butch Miller's style, but if that's what it takes, he'll try it. He likes the low side of racetracks.
Butch Miller closes in. Here's Sedgwick right there in third. Skinner in fourth. Top four all together at lap 170.
I think Hornaday's holding them up right now. Butch Miller senses that, and he sees those other trucks coming. He's going to try it on the outside. Butch, you don't know if that'll work or not, but certainly Hornaday's doing a great job of protecting that inside. Here he comes.
Crowd standing and cheering.
Brave move on the part of Butch Miller and a great working truck.
Miller looking for that first super truck victory.
They're coming up on traffic. Can he pin him in behind one of them?
Daniels
Not
down. Hey, look at this, 3 wide. Sedgwick on the bottom going for it.
And Hornaday drives hard into the turn. Here they come, 3 abreast off the turn, beating and banging.
Sedgwick looking for a hole to take the lead, but it's Miller for the moment. He gets tapped. Turns it a little sideways and keeps it up there. Sedgwick right down the middle. Here comes Skinner. Hit number 3.
Skinner trying to get...
Hornaday hits Sedgwick and spins him around. 23 almost collects him. Then Clark, he spins. He keeps going.
A 360.
No flag.
Yeah, flag is out now.
Now there's a yellow just coming on.
Wow. What action.
That's fun short track racing, folks. And they'll tell you that's just racing. Here's Dick Berggren.
Well, in all that 3 wide stuff that was going on that last lap, Sedgwick came out of turn 2 and he was absolutely sideways. And as we've been saying all day, when you get out sideways, these tires are hard to get hold of, and he just flat lost it.
Well, he might have got a little bit of help up there in all that traffic too. And but he was spinning those tires.
That C-1500 Chevy of Bill Sedgwick putting on some kind of show as he saw a little daylight down on the bottom, and he brought 13,000 people to their feet here. Every seat sold. Take a look at real speed at this show they were putting on.
Okay, here they are, 3 abreast. Sedgwick down on the inside, or he was in the middle for a moment. And then, yeah, he went up into Hornaday just a little bit. And you're right, Dick Berggren. When he got up into him, he lost it. Ron Hornaday really had nothing to do with that spin, and around he went. But he's still in 6th place, so he didn't lose a whole lot.
And the way he was running, he can get right back into this thing.
And Ken, while all that was going on, Mike Skinner moved up into 2nd place.
27 laps to go to decide it. Another great super truck show. This one in Colorado. Coming up, Heartland Park, Topeka. And then back east, they're headed for Flemington, New Jersey. A lot of great shows. They'll end up back out on the West Coast. Here's Mike Joy.
Well, Ken, this is, if these folks have never been to a Saturday night short track NASCAR race, this is typical of what happens on these bull rings every week, Friday and Saturday evenings around the country. That's why we compare this to Daytona and say this against Daytona is like trying to play an NFL game on a basketball court. Same amount of action, you compact it into this small an area. This is the kind of things that happen.
It's exciting.
There's the rest of the running order now, as we're about a lap away from turning them loose. Lined up and ready to go. As they come down to the line, 10 cars in the lead lap. Miller, Skinner, Hornaday, top 3. Rutman, Sedgwick, Resendez. Back to 6. P.J. Jones in 7th. Rick Corelli, the hometown favorite, in 8th. Jack Sprague is in 9th. And Portingay is back in 10th. They're going to take another lap. Yellow flag still out. This will bring them through 176 and turn them loose at 177. The question is, will we get that 5th different winner of the season here? Butch Miller made all those stout efforts twice. It looked like he had it in hand and it slipped away. Putting on the show right now has put that number 98. Here's Dick Berggren with more.
What do you do with the crew chiefs when you've got the pits on the backside of the racetrack? You put them up in the grandstand with all the fans. This is Doug Richard. He is Hornaday's crew chief. You watched all that. You're not leading anymore. Now what?
Well, you know, all we can do is sit here and watch enjoy the race. We're doing all we can do. We're a little too loose right now, and we pretty much wore the right rear tire out. We've tried to pace ourselves to save that tire, but right now it looks like a couple of those other guys got a little better right rear than we do.
What are you going to tell him to do from here?
Well, right now we just got to still got to be patient and not totally abuse the tires, because there's 3 or 4 more trucks behind us that's subject to take that spot away. You know, it's Ron Hornaday's pretty good in a predicament every now and then, and hopefully our Papa John Chevrolet and Action Collectibles get it back up front, we hope.
Doug Richards good in a predicament too. Mike Joy?
The key to this restart will be Toby Butler in the 21. He's in a Ford. On the last restart, a Chevy was in front. Butch Miller's Ford was second, and Butler stayed well low out of the way. On this restart, watch him try to insert himself right behind Miller ahead of the Chevrolet to preserve a Ford victory. That's what Scott Lagasse did earlier to save the lead for Chevrolet. See if Butler tries it now.
So, Butch Miller brings that F-150 down. Right inside of him, another Ford, Chevrolet of Skinner, and Hornaday's number 16 Chevy right there, knocking on the door, followed by the Ford of Rutman. Back and forth. We're away. That's 179. 20 laps to go when they come by. Butch Miller pulls away from Skinner. Give him a length and a half.
Well, Skinner was able to get by Toby Butler before Butler could do any kind of blocking there on the restart. So that strategy didn't play out as they might have expected it to.
Skinner closing in. Butch Miller in the lead. Mike Skinner, originally out of Ontario, California, now a resident of Randleman, North Carolina, on the rear deck. Closes in on that 98.
And Bill Sedgwick moved on the inside and around Joe Ruttman and has taken over the fourth. Remember, Sedgwick dropped back to, what, 6th position? He's already back up to 4th now.
Got a lot of making up to do in 20 laps, though. He's at least 10 car lengths back to the 3rd place runner, Hornaday. Ruttman right there. Then Resendez stays with it in 7th. P.J. Jones, Rick Corelli, rounding out that top group for the lead. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, a lot of the drivers who have never run here before are doing extremely well. Mike Skinner is one of those, and he is looking for the lead right now. Another is Bill Sedgwick. He had been here before, ironically, however, as crew chief for Ron Hornaday. In the series in 1995, Sedgwick has a 2nd, a 3rd, 2 5ths, a 7th, 2 8ths. He is due, but right now he is fading as Butch Miller continues to lead.
And as Skinner continues to apply more and more pressure, tailgating number 98. It's Mike Skinner in the GM Goodwrench Chevy. C1500 looking good. Qualified in 8th position. First time here. Closes up and again runs down Butch Miller on the main straightaway.
And I think that he's using his tires, abusing them more. Of course, it's time to do it. You got to do it right now. You get this close to the end of the race. Miller, I think, is still conserving his. He's staying right down on the inside of the racetrack, trying to run a very smooth, straight line around this racetrack, trying not to buzz that right rear wheel tire in him. And certainly Skinner is driving his heart out back there, trying to make Miller make a mistake.
5-time winner this year, Mike Skinner in 2nd place. Butch Miller trying to win his first Super Truck Series event. Down into the final laps at 187 of 200 right now.
They're coming up on heavy traffic once again. I think it'll depend on who can get through that traffic the best. Miller gets by the Nemechek truck in a hurry.
Bob Strait has gone back into the garage area. Clark's number 23 down to the inside. Miller right through the eye of the needle. Nemechek up on the outside. Easy pass there. Look at this 75 Sedgwick following back Resendez in there. Resendez has moved around Ruttman, and apparently the handle is off on Ruttman's vehicle.
Yeah, he is. Resendez
now Corelli is getting by P.J. Jones.
And P.J. hits Corelli going into turn 3, and Corelli spins up on the high side of the track. Caution is out.
Caution is on the speedway at lap 189.
Rick Corelli will stay in the lead lap. He just got a little tap from P.J. Jones going into turn 3. They were jockeying back and forth for that position. They had switched it a couple of times in the last couple of laps.
Yeah, good point to talk about how they finish here, Ned, which is different from what we see in Winston Cup racing.
Yeah, they do not finish under yellow. They will, at least the last 2 laps, will be run under green flag conditions.
Green, white, and checkers to wrap it up.
We're not close to that yet. I don't think that'll come into play with this caution that we have right now. Butch Miller would like to see it come down to that, but
right now,
yeah. that's not the way it'll be. He knows that he's got green flag racing yet to do.
A little break for Skinner here. Counting laps.
Yep.
Get those tires cool. That'll give him a chance to really charge here at the finish.
Exactly. Of course.
Teague's 51 and then Skinner. Now Teague will drop down on the inside and the 3 truck will pull right up on the tailgate of number 98 to decide this.
Well, now we're within the last 10 laps and P.J. Jones has been ordered to the pits. Would that be correct in saying? Anyway, he has gone to the pits.
Gone to the pits.
He has gone to the pits. P.J. Jones has gone to the pits on the backstretch. We don't know if he has a problem or what the situation is. We'll try to get word on that.
Made a great run. He was in 7th place. Here's Mike Joy.
Ned, he was black flag for getting into the back of Rick Corelli and turning him around. That was the view of the NASCAR officials. They're the umpires. They made the call, and he gets a quick trip to the penalty box.
And he's coming right back now at a turn 4. You'll see him from this shot. See him come in there at the top of turn 4, ready to blend in. Here's Dick Berggren.
Well, in the Butch Miller area, they are standing and not sitting watching the end of this race. This is Gary Showalter. He is the crew chief. How about it, Gary? Can you hold that number 3 back there?
Well, the best is 4 is running really well, but 3 is really tough. We just got to hope we can get green the rest of the way.
Well, they're looking for green. I think the rest of the fans in this grandstand are looking for green all the way, too, Ken.
You bet. 191 up on the board now, so it is a shootout. Getting down to the finish of this one will mean 9 cars in the lead lap.
And apparently they're holding P.J. Jones for a lap, Ken. He's still sitting there where we saw him a moment ago at the exit of the pit, so they have penalized him a lap.
They're the leaders. Miller, Skinner, Hornaday, Sedgwick, Resendez. Ready to try to decide this one. P.J. waiting. So apparently assessed him a couple of laps now.
Well, no, he's still just 1 lap at the moment, Webb, but they're still holding him, so you're right. So apparently they are going to hold him there. The pace truck has pulled behind the wall, so we're scheduled to get the green this time by. It'll be a single file restart because we are within 10 laps of the finish of the race.
192 as they come down.
Well, I say single file. We see a lot of trucks pulling up there trying to make a double file, but now they single out. Butch Miller comes around, the green flag waves, and we're off and running to settle it all.
Hornaday goes to the inside, trying to move through on Skinner, taps him.
Yeah, they do a
picks
little bit of bumping there. If he had gotten up beside of Skinner, that would have been the best thing that could have happened to Butch Miller. Miller protecting that inside groove. He knows it's going to be tough to pass on the outside, even though he did pass Hornaday on the outside. He knows if he stays down on that inside and he doesn't get bumped, that he's got it made.
4 to go when they come by. Butch Miller looking for that first Super Truck win. Skinner, who has been just fantastic in this Truck Series, comes onto all these foreign tracks and just seems to naturally find a way around.
They pulled away from Hornaday a little bit, a couple of truck lengths. Now Resendez has moved up into 4th place, having a great run here today in the Jeff Bodine Exide truck.
There's Resendez in 4th, Sedgwick in 5th, Rutman in 6th.
Corelli is back up to 7th. Jack Sprague is 8th. Portengay is 9th. Those are the 9 trucks in the lead lap.
Here it is. Final moments. About 18 seconds a lap. 51. Teague slows down. Flat tire right front. He's going to try to get off the track.
Yeah, he needs to just pull it down out of the way. Stay out of the groove.
Does so and lets those leaders through. Butch Miller in front. Skinner coming around. White flag this time.
White flag is scheduled to come out. A lot of heavy traffic in front of them. Don't think it'll come into play, although it might. White flag is out, and here are the leaders going in. They are coming up on some traffic. The T.J. Clark truck there with a lot of smoke coming from it. Butch goes inside it. Here comes
Skinner
comes on the inside.
Here's Skinner down on the inside, charging for the finish. He puts the fender right in the door of Butch Miller. Here they come out of 4, side by side, to the line. I think you can give it to Miller.
I think it's Miller. Boy, but
I think it's Miller by 2 inches as Skinner waited the time and tried to pace himself for a perfect shot. Pulled up, it may have been an inch or 2 short.
Boy, it was close.
Stay on short track, too close to call. Let's see how that one came out. It looks like Coopersville, Michigan native Butch Miller has finally pulled it off as he came out of 4. An incredible run to the line. Mike Skinner had him standing and cheering. Ford against Chevy right to the finish. And ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in Super Truck history, throwing her in a big 180. How about it? for Michigan's Butch Miller.
All right, is he pumped up?
Short track Saturday night.
Stand clear down there, Mike Joy. He is putting on a show for the fans, and they're loving it. Okay, we're going to take a look at the photo finish, Ken. As we see Butch Miller getting, here it is as they come across the line.
Skinner had him there.
He had him, but look at the momentum that Miller has as they come to the start-finish line. Boy, that is close. What, 6 inches, 8?
Oh, I'd say that is the 11th race, and all 11 have been decided by less than 10 seconds this year total. All right, Butch Miller ready to clamber out. Mike Joy ready to talk with him. What a show in Colorado. At the start-finish line, another look, another angle of this incredible finish that Butch Miller has pulled off today in winning his first Super Truck race.
He had momentum coming off turn 4 on the outside, and you can see just barely noses ahead of Mike Skinner as they get to the start-finish line.
Couldn't get much closer than that. Let's go to Mike Joy.
This is short track racing. These are not show cars. If you buy a truck, you buy it to work. Look at the work that's been done on the right side of Butch Miller's truck. Those were tire marks from the first pass. Now look at the left side. This was coming to the start-finish line. This truck did its work and earned its keep today. And Butch Miller, could you be any more thrilled?
Never, ever could I be more thrilled today. I didn't want it to be quite as exciting. I got to think, Ron Skinner, he could have had the race. I might have been backwards going across, but he could have had the race. Ryan Hornaday, I got some great sponsors. Ray Bestis, Ford Credit, Red Carpet Lease, and of course this is a Ford F-150 pickup truck. But those guys stuck behind us. You know, they took an old short tracker and said, let's go with a Winston Cup type chassis and let's go racing. And man, I can't thank those guys enough. Thanks for coming along, sponsors.
We talked to you this morning and you said you knew you had the best truck here.
Well, we did. I'm just a little bit rusty in traffic. I don't know what to do about it. I got to work on it a little bit more, but I have a hard time guessing which way those guys are going.
Can't get any further to the front than right here, Victory Lane. Dick Berggren.
Mike, usually there are a lot of smiles in second place. There are, well, he just gave us a big smile right now, but there hasn't been one until now. Mike, tell us about the last lap.
Well, the caution's really what hurt us. You know, we were a little bit better than Butch right there on the long run, and we saved our tires the first 60 laps of the race and just sat back there and rode, and we got that caution, so let's go on up there. And I guess Ron got together with Bill or something happened there, and it gave us a little opportunity to save some tire passing them guys, and we knew we could run with them. We felt like we was a little bit quicker, but I got under Butch a couple times, and you know, Butch wanted to win real bad, and I said, you know, it's a good points race for us if we just finish right here. So I got to congratulate Butch Miller and his team. They did a super good job, and congratulate my team. I'll tell you what, we came in here today, we were junk. I'll tell you, we ran so bad, and they just kept on digging. They worked and worked and worked, and halfway we went in there and fine-tuned it, and GM Goodrich Service Chevrolet done pretty good for us.
And they got 7. Second, Ken Squire.
Mike Skinner, Butch Raymond, Butch Miller, couple of great champions. More and more. A look at the final standings here today. Butch Miller back in first place at the end of a race. He'd been there so many times during the season, but not when the checkers flew. Hornaday to 3rd, Sedgwick, and then Resendez. Ruttman fell to 6th, and that has a big story tied to it. Carilli 7th, Sprague, Portingay, Walker Evans, a great 10th place finish.
And Dennis Setzer hung in there and finished in 11th place. This is unofficial, of course. Toby Butler 12th, P.J. Jones 13th, even after getting penalized. Scott Legacy in 14th, and John Nemechek in 15th position.
Those are the top runners here. Now take a look at these the points today. What a turnaround we have here. Mike Skinner now in front. Ruttman was leading going in after Milwaukee. Butch Miller 3rd, Hornaday and Sedgwick in the top 5. Those are the standings as they get ready to go to Kansas and run at Heartland Park 2 weeks from today. Butch Miller the winner. So for Ned Jarrett, Mike Joy, and Dick Berggren, this is Ken Squire saying so long from Dacono, Colorado, where Miller has won the Colorado Super Truck 200. Next Sunday, CBS Sports Racing Team takes you south to Talladega for live flag-to-flag coverage of the Die Hard 500. 1995 Colorado Super Truck 200 has been a presentation of CBS Sports.